Okay, we're going to start this program. Alright, so we'll start with the first step, okay, creating a new Visual C++ program, Visual. So start new and project. Right, then we select, okay, if C++ is not selected, make sure that that is selected, and in CRR, it's a Windows Forms application. So I'm going to call this click. Always. Okay. I simply call it Click Race Game 2, okay, because I might have one like that already. Okay, so now it starts. That's your new form. Okay, so you start to populate this form with the controls, these controls. Okay, so in total there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 controls. Okay, and I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The timer doesn't show as a control over here. Okay, so that would be the one control. Which be the second label. Okay, so you actually have two labels here. Let's work with what we have over here. Okay. Right. So you will add your labels. First of all, you need a label there. Okay. And that label. Right. So you need a label. Then you need a text box, okay? Right. Okay, we'll first put up all the controls, and then you will then customize those controls. Okay? Then you've got button 1, button 2, another button there, and another button there, okay? See, so 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. Okay. Size that buttons a bit. Okay. Right. Right, you can go ahead and add the second label, which is the label that we had in blue there, and we can change that afterwards. Okay. Okay. So now we will do the property changing those values. Okay, so our text box here, the name of the text box will be txt numclicks. The text, you leave the text as empty. Right, label 1 will be label numclicks and then text number of clicks. Okay, so you can add that text over there. So that is called LBL numclicks. Okay, that's your label. That's your name, the name property, and then the text property is number of clicks. Okay. It's called LBL numclicks. LBL numclicks. Okay. The name property is normally right above there, or if you don't have it in if you have it in that order, okay, make sure that it's I, you select the A to Z, okay, then if you have that, then you'll see that a name will always be on top, okay? Okay, so the two properties that you change in most instances for a control would be the name and the text, okay, name and text. So I've changed name there for that, and then also the text, which is at the bottom there, right? So you would do the same for the text box. You leave the text as empty, and you change the name, call it txt. What did we say? txt numclicks as well. Okay? The one is called LBL, the other one is txt. So it's right, and that will that one will then the script. It's a descriptive label for the text box. Okay, text box that displays the number of valid mouse clicks. Okay, so that will be storing the valid. Okay. What you can also do with that text box is you can set read only. Go down to read only. Set that to true. Okay. Alright, in other words, the user will not, if you do set it to true, it means it's like grayed out. Okay, so it basically looks like a label, but it's actually a text box. Okay, right. So if you set read only, it will also be grayed out. Okay, right. Read only basically means that you will just use it for display purposes. Read only, I've set read only to true. Okay, change it back to false. You'll see it turns to white. Change it to true, it changes to gray. Okay? Alright. So what it basically says is that you can use a text box and display values in there, right? And make it read only, but you can also use a label and display values in there, right? Where you obviously a label is by default read only. You can't type in it, okay? With a label also, okay, with a text box you can set that to multi-line, okay, so which means eventually a text box and a label can look the same, can have the same functionality, okay. Alright, so what I'm basically done is I've set the multi. You see, if you click on a button on the text box as well as on a label, okay, well maybe not so much, yeah, but the label also, if you change the auto size, you'll see there's a little arrow there, right? If you click on there, more properties come, but the only property that comes up there is multi-line. Okay, so if you uncheck multi-line, it will then be, it will only have that one. In other words, you can only have one line. If you set multi-line, you can have more lines displayed in there. Okay, but let's leave it as that. So what we've changed is we've changed the name property, we've changed the read-only property, all right, and we've also changed the text. Well, we didn't do the text property. Leave that as empty. Okay, right. Okay, so the second one, or the first button, the third control that we need to change is the button, and that button should read "click me" as well as the second button. Okay, so the one will be called BTN click 1, and the other one will be called BTN click 2. Okay, so we can go ahead and change those values. So property name property for our first button is BTN click 1. The text on there is "click me." Right? Am I going too fast? It is there. Yeah. Just check under exercises term 2. Exercise term 2. Okay. Right. So what I've done is clicked on the button, went to the name property, changed the name to BTN click, went to the text change the text to click me. Okay. Right. The same you do for button 2. Click on the button. Name property is equal to btn. Click 2. Text is click me. Okay. Right. Okay, so now that you've added all of these, okay, you've changed the buttons, the properties, okay. The last one that or two of those that we need to change firstly is that one, and then we also need a timer. Okay, now the timer you will find under where is it? Components, okay. Under components, okay, so if you've got all of these minimized, okay, you normally have your common controls there, alright, but under the print, okay, this printing, okay, you don't want printing, dynamic, where we now, dialogs, okay, so it should be under components. Okay, where's components now? Okay, there, right? So under components, you've got your timer, okay? Now if you click on this time and you drag it anywhere there, it actually lands up at the bottom there, right? So the timer is not the actual control on your screen which you will see, but it is in control in any case, okay? Right, so you can leave the name as timer 1, okay, which we have in the code, okay? Right, so you don't have to change it there, okay? Right, I've changed it, but if you need to change it, just make sure when you use it in the code that you use the name, okay? That particular name, okay? I'm going to leave it as that, okay? As timer 1, right? Now, the property that you set there is the interval property, and you change that to 1,000, okay? Right, it is basically say that it needs to execute every 1,000 milliseconds, okay, which equivalents to. So if you say you want to display something every 1,000 milliseconds, which means you will display it every second, okay? So let's say you display a clock or a ticking clock, okay? It will actually simulate an actual tick, 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 like every second. So in fact, seconds will be updated every 100 milliseconds, of course, okay? Right, or no? Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to display your clock, it will, yeah. So what we say is that we want okay, let's just look at the code here at the bottom. Right. This code over here should perform every second basically, right? Only every second, because you want to decrease the timer every second. You want to make it one less. But if you leave it as 100, it will go quicker, right? It will execute quicker, right? We can test that and see what effect it has on your program, right? So, okay, so that is your design. Okay, so you're basically done with step, basically step 3. Okay, right. The one that we still need to change. Okay, if you want to have it look like that, see how fast you can click within 30 seconds. So that you will add over here. Okay, so that label. Now here we will work with with font and color. Okay, changing the font and the color. So first of all, the text. Okay, text should read. Okay, right. Now if you click on, let's just change the auto size as well while we're there. Auto size. Set that to false. Okay. Right, you can leave the name as is, okay, because you're not going to really use the name in the code, okay. So auto size, we set that to false, we're not going to set the border style. So you can change the text. You can type the text in there, but if you click on that arrow there, right, it actually comes up with a bigger box where you can type in. Okay, so you can type multiple sentences and things like that in a label. Okay, so see how many clicks you can do. Let's look at the correct. See how fast you can click within 30 seconds. See how fast you can click within 30 seconds. Okay. Right, if you enter, obviously you don't have to enter, you shouldn't enter there. So see how many clicks you can click within 30 seconds. Okay. Alright. Right, now the font, we'll change the font. Okay, now here you can actually, the fore color there in this case is the actual text color, okay, whereas the back color would be the back color. Okay. Okay. Right, so we changed the fore color, and okay, these are all the system colors. Okay, now this is not, you don't see through colors here. Okay, click on web, that is maybe right, but if you go to custom, there's actually more color, or okay, web also got maybe those colors, right? But so you can make it what, green? No, okay. Well, you can, okay, let's make it blue. I've got it as blue. Okay, and then you can change the font size. Okay, so the font size, right, if you click on font there and you click on that little ellipse there, it will actually come up with the font dialog box. Okay, right, so it comes up with the font dialog. Let me just do that again. Right, the font, click on font, it comes up with that, what we call an ellipse. Okay, click on that button and it comes up with your font dialog. And here you can change your font. Okay, you can change the font, you can change the font style, you can bold, change the size, make it 14. Okay. So you can play around with that. Okay. Okay. Right, so now we've got that. We basically have all our design done, okay, including setting the properties and all that. Yes. So the last step there is to actually now add the code. Okay, you need to add the code. Okay. So what should happen when your program starts or it loads, initial load? Okay, and where do you add that code? Okay, you add the code when you double click on the form. Okay. Now the other property that you should change also is this over here. Okay, so you can change the text of your form and call it click raise game. Okay, right. This is now the text for your form. Okay, so you click on the form itself, anywhere in the blank form, go to the text property and change that to click raise game. Okay. So that you can read like that. Stop there. Right now, everyone there? Are you all there? All here? Rather be all here not than to be not all there. Alright, so when I double click, let me just minimize. When I double click on the form, the blank area, it generates an event there called form1 load, okay, and that basically says when the form gets loaded, okay. So I normally put my curly bracket further down, okay, so that I can see them all in one area, okay. Right, so what happens on the form load, okay, so if you go to the code, right, these are the events that, now you'll see that there's a int click counter, int timer counter, and in seconds, minutes, and so these are not declared over here, right? They are declared further up, okay, and I'll show you where. When you work with variables, okay, there's a section called required designer variables, okay. Now, if you're going to use that variable only in this section here and nowhere else, you might as well just declare there, and that would be it. But because you need it somewhere else as well, we need to declare it. Okay, now I'm scrolling up, right, just before Pragma region Windows Form Designer, there's a section there, required designer variables, okay, or required designer variable, and that is where I add my designer variables, okay. Now in this instance, I need at least two, okay. I need one to keep track of the counter, the timer counter, and I need one to keep track of the amount of clicks, okay, that was performed, okay. And in both of them will basically be integers, okay. So I declare them as integers. Int, what did we say? Int click counter, okay. Now the word int there is just to say that it is an integer, okay. It's got no real, okay. So as well as int timer, so I'll call it int. Int is the variable name, and int, what does it say? Timer counter. Okay, int timer counter is one word, okay? Right, and please note you can't initialize it here either, okay? You can't initialize it, you have to just declare there, right? So where you do initialize it is in the form load, okay? The other one is called int click counter, and the other one is called int timer counter. Int click counter, okay? Right, so this variable over here, okay. Okay, that one keeps track of the seconds, okay, and this one stores the number of clicks, okay. Okay. Alright, can we continue? Got it? Alright, so now you go back to your code area, okay, and that's where you actually will type up the code. So in the form load, int, yeah, in the form load, the event that we just, so time, okay, so now you can go to your document and check actually what is the code there. So the first, that is initializing both of them. So it's set to 0, and then the buttons are set to false, or the enabled buttons are set to false, and then timer is set. Okay, this is not really true for Okay, just take note that that is the second timer. Okay, I haven't added the second timer, so we're not going to put the code there, right? And then that also. So the only code that you need is that over there and those two lines. So you only need those 4 lines. So it's equal to 0, int, click, 0. Okay. Button click is the 2 buttons. Okay. Okay. So what you say that initially you want to set them to false. You want to disable them, so they will be grayed out. You can't click as yet because you haven't pressed the start button. Okay. So only when you press. It's not functional. Okay, if it's disabled, if it's enabled, it means you can click on it. Then it enables the 1 button, the first button. Okay. Right. So that is the only 4 lines that you need for the form load. Okay. Okay, the dash and the arrow is a combination. Okay, it's the same like saying dot. Okay, okay, but because it's a different, it's this object is basically a pointer type. Okay, so if you want to refer to the members of an object via a pointer, then use arrow. Okay. But if you use it statically, then use a dot. Okay. So there are instances where you use a dot and where you use an arrow. Also, we'll come to that. Okay. Okay. We've basically disabled the 2 buttons in when the form loads. Okay. But you can also do that when you in design. You can click on that button, go to the properties of it, go to the enabled, where it's enabled there. Okay, you can set that to false. Okay, and you can set that to false. Okay, which means you don't have to actually put it in the code. Okay, see that it's during runtime. Okay, right. The code will not really have an effect. Okay, because it's already false. So if you set it to false, it's already. So you can alternatively then don't have to put that in there, right? So what we're saying basically is that you can change your properties during design times, some of it maybe, all of them if the property is shown here, okay, you see the property, you can change it, okay, right? And you can also just change it at runtime, okay, or in the code section, right? Okay, so right, so that is on the form load. So the next piece of code is that we want to click this when you click the start button. Okay, a couple of things happen there. First of all, this will start the game by making sure that the timer and the counters are set to 0, and then the timer is basically set to 30 seconds. So it will count from 30 downwards. Okay, and then button 1 will be set to true. Okay. And obviously button 2 will be set to false, but because it's already false, you don't have to set it to false. And then the timer 1 enabled is equal to true. Okay, is the same like saying timer start. Okay, and I'll code that. So we go back to design. We double click on the start button, and that is to get to the. So, right, remember the curly brackets there is because I press enter. Okay, normally it is at the end. Okay, the start curly bracket. So, int timer counter is equal to 30, okay, and int click counter is equal to 0, right? And then btn click 1 is enable is equal to true, okay. And then timer 1, which I left as timer 1, I can say start, okay, or alternatively you can say timer 1 enable is equal to true, okay. Right, so both of them has the same function. Right, so what this does basically, it starts the clock, okay. Right, you would know what I mean, but start the clock, no, start the timer, okay. Yes, timer enabled equals to true, and timer start is the same one. Okay. Right, that's why I put it. But you'll see that I actually added in the code. I left it as I put it as that. Okay. Alright, then text box 1 is set to 0. Okay. Now, if you've clicked it the second time, which means there's a value there, so you want to clear that value or change that value. Okay. So you want to say the txt. What do we call it? Num clicks, and the text of that is equal to, okay, what you can also do alternatively is you can call a clear method on that button, on that control, okay. Txt num clicks clear, okay. Right. So clear is a method that will basically clear whatever values is in that text box. Okay. Text. That's the property of the text box. Text property. Okay. Right. Remember, the properties and also the methods always starts with a capital. Okay. So enable, text, whatever other properties there are, will always start with a capital in most cases. I haven't come across where a property starts with a lowercase. That's why I say. Okay, so I think that would be the code that we had to add there. All right, so we've done with that. Okay, so we've done with the start button. Okay, are you all done with the start button? We're all done with the start button. Okay, so it's the form, start button, and now the next code that we're going to add is the code for the click me and the click me for the two buttons. Okay, or click me and click you. Okay, so what is the code that we add there? Right, so every time you click, obviously you're going to update the counter, the click counter, in both cases, button 1 and button 2, click counter plus plus. Click counter plus plus, and then the text box there, the text box. Okay. Now you see that that's text box 1. It's actually called the text box that we've changed it to, which is num clicks. Okay. and the text thereof will be equal to int click counter dot. Okay, now there is the dot. Okay, because this is a static variable. Okay, and it's got a method called toString. Okay, so you'll recall that that is an integer. Okay, so what we do is we convert that integer to a string and we assign it to the string. Okay, this is a string. Okay, a system string. Okay, so the code for the click 1 button and the code for click 2 button is the same. Okay, the only difference there is that the false is swapped around. Okay, so button 1 is set where if button 1 is clicked, then it's set to false, and button 2 is set to true. If button 2 is clicked, then it's set to, then button 1 is set to true, and button 2. Okay, on, got it? Get it? Okay, so you can update that code. Okay, so I'm just going to copy all of that, and I'll do the same for the second button. Yeah. properties. Yes, for the first one, the name property is btn clicked. Okay. What is saying? Yeah. Okay. Some of the differences are there. The text box. Okay. I've called it txt num click. Okay. So there is text box 1. Right. So. Okay. So what we've done is we've done the start or the load rather. Okay. We've added 4 lines of code there. We've done the start button. We've added all of these almost, except for one of these. And then we've done the button click 1 and button click 2. Okay. Right? Are you all done with button 2? Okay. Sorry, I just have to run. Right. Alright, so the next code that we need to add is the timer, the actual timer, the tick. Okay, now the timer here has got what we call a tick event. Okay. So you go to your designer variable or to your screen, and then you will actually double click on that control. Okay. You double click on that control, okay, or you could, okay, before you double click, okay, click on the control, go to your property, and then you see there is an events, okay, events, right? If you click on events, the only event that is actually happening there is the tick event, okay, so you might as well, okay. Right, so that is the event for that. But if you click on a button, for instance, on that button, and you go to your properties and events, okay, you'll see there's a lot of other events taking place there, right? And the one event which is the default event is the click event, okay. So if you double click on an object, it will go to the event, the default event that will be then generated, okay. So for the click event, I mean for the tick event or the time event, you can, in fact, you can, no, those are other events. Okay, double click on there, and then it goes to, okay. Got it? Get it? Have it? Alright, so what will be happening over here? Okay, let's see, look at the code. Alright, first of all, int timer counter will be decremented each time, okay? Then you will have an if check. If the timer is 0, then you want to set everything to false, and then you for the last time you want to update your text box, okay, with the timer, and then you want to stop the timer, okay? Alright, so in other words, this will not happen anymore, okay? And then, yeah, and it will be updated again, okay, got to find it. So all of that will happen there, so, right, so first of all, int, click, no, what is it, int, timer counter, minus, if the timer counter is equal to 0. Alright. If it is equal to 0, you want to set all of these to false. Well, doesn't really matter. 1 0, 2 zeros, 5 zeros. Oh, sorry. I think I made it another 0 because of the equal. Right, so the two buttons, or the two buttons will be set to false. Okay, that is set to false, and we will update the text num click. Okay, yeah, stop. Right, alternatively you can also say timer 1 in a, what can you say? Go enable Okay, this is not really needed here, okay, because you're doing it there in any case, okay. All right, so. What? Sorry. Oh yes, sorry. Timer counter. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Sorry, yeah. Timer counter, not click counter. Right, so what you do, you update the timer counter, and that is not num clicks. It is text box 2, which is another text box which we don't have. Am I right? Text box 2. We don't have a text box 2. Okay. Right, I'll show you now. Okay. The way a program looks, okay. You have no way of actually seeing how it ticks. Okay, you can't see the clock ticking. Okay, so that extra text box there, okay, which we can add, okay, and you can put it over there, okay, and you can make that read only also. Okay, I'll call it TX. No. What is this? We call it TXT timer. Okay. TXT timer and read only set to true. Okay. Right. That there will basically show your clock. Okay, as it ticks. In other words, the seconds starting from 30 to 0. Okay. So I'll call it TXT timer, okay? TXT timer. So in the code, I need to call it Are you all with me? Right? Okay. What we've done is we've added this extra text box. We call it TXT timer. We've said read only to true. Okay. So read only, so it will be grayed out. Okay. Right. So in your code, what you have to do is you're now updating the TXT timer, okay? TXT timer text is equal to int timer there, and then this one also here. Double click. You don't have to double click on it. Yeah. No, only thing I've changed is the name and the read only set to right. So in the code we've done. Okay, so it's txt timer text is equal to int timer counter. Okay, and then txt. That's correct, yeah. Okay, so you can test that. Okay, so there's errors there. Let me see what is the errors. To string in timer in num-click. Is it num-click or num-clicks? Oh. Yeah, okay, we can do that. Int click counter, okay, int click counter looks like int click counter is not properly declared. What did I call it? Hey? And where did it? Oh, that was declared over there. Oh, counter. Oh, I've changed it to counter. Counter. Okay, it's counter. Okay. So there. So as you click on start, it now. Okay. Oh, it doesn't look like the second one doesn't work. So why is that not working? Click 1 is set up. On the button 2, that is set to true and that is set to false. Okay. Okay, so that's how the program should. I will put up similar exercise like these, which you need to complete, and then we'll see where we get from there. The other thing that I wanted to show you is the actual date, getting the date and the time, and then actually getting the time to tick. Okay, right, and that's why I had this. Okay, so there's. Okay. I had these in seconds and minutes. Okay, and then. Where is it? LBL text. Okay, that's it. Okay, I actually didn't need that. Okay, LBL date. Okay, is the date, and then there should be. Okay, let's just see if I can do this quickly. Okay, so. Right, I'll put up a label there, okay, at the bottom there somewhere. Change the property of that. Call it LBL time. Okay. Auto size false. Border style fix 3D.
Call. Upgrade today to remove